Behind the elegant balconies and sprawling cotton fields of the antebellum South stood a world built on silence and control. Plantation houses were often portrayed as symbols of wealth and civilization, but within their walls existed a darker reality that rarely appeared in official records. Enslaved men, women, and children lived under constant authority, their lives dictated by those who claimed ownership over them. Every movement was watched, every decision controlled, and every act of resistance could lead to punishment or worse. Yet the fields were not the only place where power was abused. Inside the plantation homes themselves, hidden relationships of domination and fear shaped daily life in ways that history often struggled to record. Tonight, we uncover the disturbing truths about the power structures inside slaveholding households, realities that reveal how control extended far beyond labor and into the most personal parts of human existence. The plantation system in the American South was more than an economic model. It was a rigid social hierarchy designed to maintain absolute authority. At the top stood plantation owners and their families, whose wealth depended on the labor of enslaved people working endless fields of cotton, tobacco, and sugar. To outsiders, plantation homes appeared orderly and refined. Grand verandas overlooked fields that stretched beyond the horizon, and social gatherings reinforced the image of prosperity and stability. But beneath that image was a system built on surveillance and discipline. Enslaved people were assigned roles based on the needs of the plantation. Most labored in the fields under brutal conditions, but others were brought into the household as domestic servants. These individuals cleaned rooms, prepared meals, carried messages, and attended to the daily needs of the household. Although domestic roles removed them from the harshest physical labor, they also placed enslaved individuals under constant observation. Living and working inside the plantation house meant that every action was watched closely by those in authority. Within this environment, enslaved individuals had little control over their lives. Orders were expected to be followed immediately, and refusal could result in severe punishment. The imbalance of power created an atmosphere where fear and obedience shaped every interaction. Inside the plantation household, power dynamics were complex and often hidden from public view. Enslaved people assigned to domestic work lived closer to the families who controlled them, but this proximity did not offer safety. Instead, it created new forms of vulnerability. Household servants were expected to be available at any moment. They could be called during the day to perform tasks or summoned in the middle of the night if their owners demanded assistance. Privacy was nearly non-existent, and boundaries between labor and personal space were constantly blurred. Historical records suggest that many plantation households operated under strict expectations of loyalty and silence. Enslaved individuals were often warned that speaking out or questioning authority could bring harsh consequences not only for themselves but also for their families. This environment created a system where obedience was maintained through fear. Threats of punishment, sale to distant plantations, or false accusations were powerful tools used to ensure that enslaved people remained compliant. In such conditions, survival required careful navigation. Many enslaved individuals learned to read the moods and intentions of those around them, adapting their behavior to avoid drawing attention or provoking anger. The emotional toll of this system was immense. Enslaved people lived with the constant awareness that their futures could change instantly. Families could be separated through sale, and individuals could be relocated without warning. For those working inside plantation houses, the pressure was particularly intense. They were expected to maintain perfect composure while serving the very people who controlled every aspect of their lives. A mistake during a meal, a misunderstood instruction, or a perceived act of disrespect could trigger severe punishment. Despite these dangers, enslaved communities developed quiet forms of resistance. Shared knowledge, whispered conversations, and mutual support helped individuals endure the oppressive conditions around them. Some found small ways to assert dignity in everyday life, maintaining family bonds, passing down traditions, and supporting one another during moments of hardship. These acts of resilience became essential to survival within a system designed to deny humanity. The plantation household was therefore not simply a place of domestic activity. It was another stage where authority was constantly reinforced. Every command, every rule, and every act of surveillance reminded enslaved people of their position within the hierarchy. Those in power understood that maintaining control required more than physical force. Psychological pressure, fear, uncertainty, and dependency was just as effective. By controlling movement, communication, and opportunity, plantation owners ensured that resistance remained extremely difficult. Even so, the history of slavery is also a history of endurance. Enslaved individuals continued to build relationships, support their families, and preserve cultural traditions despite the system that sought to erase them. Their resilience stands as a powerful reminder that human dignity can persist even in the most oppressive circumstances. When we look back at plantation life today, it is important to remember that the elegant architecture and wealth often associated with these estates were built upon suffering and forced labor. The hidden stories inside plantation households reveal a world shaped by control, fear, and exploitation. They remind us that slavery affected every aspect of life, not only in the fields but also within the homes that symbolized power and privilege. By examining these realities, we gain a deeper understanding of the human cost behind historical systems of domination. The voices of those who endured slavery may have been silenced at the time, but their experiences continue to shape how we understand justice, memory, and the importance of confronting the past honestly. History is not only about empires and wealth. It is also about the people whose lives were controlled by those systems, and the strength they showed in surviving them.